Thank you very much, colleague. I think as Minister Dlamini Zuma indicated, the regulations have been developed based on a health assessment and to enable the police to enforce the regulations. We call on the business community, large businesses, small businesses, informal traders, to work with us to contain the spread of the virus so that we can win this war. We are working with businesses to keep supply chains running, to keep key production and retail flowing in the food sector, in cleaning and hygiene products, in medical goods and equipment, in fuel, and in basic goods like airtime and electricity. 28 categories of essential services have been published in the Government Gazette. Local companies are also looking to repurpose their technologies to provide locally made basic products wherever this is possible to avoid any shortages caused by disruptions in imported lines. For example, local companies are developing an easy-to-use mechanical ventilator for hospitals that will be going into production shortly, and we expect to have hundreds of these available within weeks. The regulations provide for a form or certificate to be issued by companies in essential services to their workers to be carried when traveling to and from work. Many companies have requested that they log their details with government. We've introduced a portal at the website run by the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, the CIPC, to log in company details only where you comply with the list that has been gazetted by my colleague. That website is www.bizportal.co.za, www.bizportal.co.za. The service will be introduced from tomorrow, and full details will be published on government websites. Finally, to give effect to the regulations issued on prices, the Competition Commission and the Consumer Commission are charging individuals and firms who are increasing prices unjustifiably. And the commissions will now come forward. They will be represented by Commissioner Mabuza and Commissioner Bonakele and make a short statement on the actions that they are taking. May I, through my colleague, invite the two commissioners immediately to come forward.
Woza siqhubeke nale sanitizer ngiyazi ukuthi asikayijwayelanga asiqhubeke. We will call upon the Commissioner Mabuza, who's our national consumer, who's heading the National Consumer Commission. We are ready so that she comes to support the work that Minister Patel has spoken to. Commissioner, we are in your hands.
Thank you, Ministers. Colleagues, as we had said yesterday that the Minister has given us a mandate to enforce the regulation, and we had promised that we are really going to take swift action against those suppliers that are not complying. As of yesterday, we have for now commissioned 30 investigations. The 30 investigations are between the two entities. But for the National Consumer Commission, we have issued 11 certificates as of yesterday. The first one went to Spy in Silver Lakes in Gauteng for the price of Dettol, Spy in Platterkloof for hand sanitizers, North Safety in Western Cape for face masks, Checkers Hyper in Captain Park for toilet paper, National Overalls in Pretoria, Gauteng for face masks, Macro in Durban for toilet paper, Bloemfontein Pharmacy in Free State for hand gloves, Mopane Pharmacy in Mpumalanga in Bombela for face masks, Seaside Pharmacy in Table View in the Western Cape for face masks, and then Pick and Pay in Milnerton in Western Cape for hand sanitizers. We have, as of today as well, also issued 8 additional certificates which have not yet been confirmed by the receivers. That include 4 in Gauteng, 1 in KZN, 2 in Northwest, and 1 in Limpopo. What we had said is that the 2 commissions, we are working together, pulling our forces together so that we ensure that if we are looking at these prices, we find that there will be prices upstream, then my colleague in the Competition Commission will take charge. If it's upstream, then I will be taking charge. But we are working together in terms of our forces, and my colleague will come in and continue from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mabuza. What was this sanitizer for? Commissioner Bonagele is from the Competition Commission. He will speak to us again, clarify us what work they will be doing to enforce the lockdown and ensure that our people are not taken advantage of. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Minister Mtembu, ministers. I will take this opportunity once more to remind ourselves, members of the public and the business community, that the Competition Act prohibits excessive pricing. Also, the National Consumer Protection Act prohibits price gouging. This is where prices become so unreasonable that they cannot be justified. The Competition Commission, together with the National Consumer Commission, during this disaster, have continued to receive a number of complaints regarding shocking price increases, mainly for the protective gear used for COVID-19. But we have also noted lately that this has tended to include basic food products like rice, maize meal, cooking oil, and cereals. Following the regulations that were published and directives by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition to strengthen competition and consumer protection enforcement during this national disaster, we have followed up this by communication and engagements with national retailers especially. We have sent a letter to national retailers, all of them, requesting them. I nearly said directing them, but I think this is reserved for ministers. But requesting them to notify us of any abnormal increases. So far, we have not received any notification of these, but complaints continue to pile up. Now, I don't want to be presumptive, but if we do not get notification from retailers as to what is the cause of these price increases, we have to assume that it is them that are profiteering and exploiting the circumstances. We have also been monitoring commodity trading within SAFEX, and we saw yesterday an unusual upsurge in the price of white maize, We have followed this up. We are monitoring all of these commodity prices. We have been advised that partly the market has been absorbing the cost of the depreciation in the rand, as well as an unusual demand coming from Zimbabwe. We have seen that the prices have somewhat stabilized today. And as I have indicated, we continue to monitor. Ultimately, it is our duty as regulators to advise government when markets don't work. In other words, if there is a complete market failure, this is the reality. Government will have no choice but to impose further restrictions on operations of the market. We have been advising authorities, in particular ministers, that at this stage, there is no need to do this. We do have products in the market. For example, there is no shortage of essential food products. The issue is that these must move normally through the value chain without abuses. If there is further abuse that is impossible to control, then government will have to reconsider its position. So we do join the minister in calling upon business community, particularly the large businesses, because they really sell the bulk of these products. So the large supermarket chains, the large franchises, for example, who operate shops at the forecourts of garages. This is where we have been finding abuses. Of course, there have been abuses by smaller players, individually owned pharmacies, small suppliers of masks and things like that. But really, the huge impact on consumers and the economy will come from the large retailers and suppliers. This is why we are emphasizing the call on these. And incidentally, if there is strict government regulation, it is these large enterprises that would suffer the most and will complain the most. So we call upon CEOs of retail stores, CEOs of franchise operators to continue working with government. We also call upon members of the public to let us aware of these, as we will continue working during the lockdown period to monitor prices and to fast-track investigations of those who transgress both laws and regulations. Our toll-free number that we are jointly operating, the Competition Commission and the National Consumer Commission, is 0800 014 880. 0800 014 880. Alternatively, a mobile number which is available 24 hours at 084 743 0000. I repeat again, the mobile number is 084 743 0000. We, as my colleague have indicated, has a joint team that reports to both of us, and we will continue operating during this period. We would call upon once more the business owners to make it easy for our people as they move in and out of their retail shops, as well as cooperate in informing us of any changes that are unusual in the markets. Thank you very much.
We will now